Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the podcast. This is Ewok Nation here producing this. Welcome to Everyday Talks with Kellie. Today, we're going to talk about global politics and the impact on the American people. This is going to be in reference to the current situation over in Eastern Europe, certain UN resolutions, stuff like that. Stuff going on globally that are affecting people like you and I today. Without further ado, I'm going to have Kellie take it off.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on Everyday Talks with Kellie, produced by Ewok. We are going to be talking, like he said, about global politics and the impact on you. And one of the main impacts, those numbers came out today, is our GDP. Second quarter GDPs just came out. And let me go over those numbers with you because it definitively shows that we are actually in a recession, although the White House wants to continually deny it. Quarter one GDP was a negative 1.4%. Okay. Quarter two GDP is a negative 0.9%, which means that we've had two confirmed successive quarters of negative growth. That is not positive growth. Negative growth means that we are not doing well. We're losing, not winning. Go ahead.
Didn't the Biden administration, aren't they refusing right now to define what a recession is?
Yes. They're saying we're not in a recession. Nobody knows what they're talking about except the White House, and they're in full-blown denial. With that being said, clearly you can't deny. You cannot deny what is going on.
No, the fact.
You can't deny numbers. Just like with COVID-19, you cannot deny the numbers. Just like with the mRNA vaccination that they say will protect you and keep you from getting COVID, and it doesn't. The truth eventually will come out, and it's all coming out now. But we look at this negative GDP growth, and we look at the fact that our elected representatives are supposed to be representing your interests, not Ukrainian interests, want to keep sending things to Ukraine to assist them in this war with Russia.
Not just that, but this is going to be a biased source I'm going to quote here, but I was reading during my little journey around the different world news organizations, I was reading on RT that apparently that Zelensky said Americans should go without to help the Ukrainian cause. I'm sorry, Mr. Zelensky. I'll pass on that.
Since when did we become a colony for
Ukraine?
I'm just
wondering. Yeah.
When did that happen? Because I thought we were a sovereign nation. The last time I checked, it was God bless America, not God bless America and the Ukraine on our anthem.
These people will happily wave a Ukrainian flag around, put it on their bumper sticker, whatever, right? But to get them to wave the American flag and just show just a tad bit of patriotism for their country is like pulling teeth. It's sad.
Well, I don't support Ukraine because Zelensky wasn't elected. He was selected. The people didn't want him. Kind of like what we're dealing here with Joe Biden. He's a
Tutor
problem.
Dixon.
He's a character. And the fact is I support Russia, and I'll tell you that, and I'll tell you why. You ask me, and I'll tell you exactly why. First off, they're my people. Second off, they were well within their rights. If somebody took Guam from the United States, let's say China said, "Oh, you know what? You guys don't get Guam anymore. We're closer. We're taking Guam." What do you think the United States is going to do? Let's say Canada said, "You know what? The Upper Peninsula of Michigan, that's ours. We're taking it." What do you think we're going to do? We're going to defend our borders, right?
Yeah,
Right. Y'all don't understand the Ukraine belonged, not until recently, it belonged to Russia. It was part of Russia. It was part of the Soviet Union. It's always has been. That's why they speak Russian.
yeah, and
Hello?
that's a big Russian thing right now in defending that their position in the Ukraine is these are Russian-speaking people. We had the Minsk agreement. Ukraine apparently, with evidence, defied that agreement,
Yep.
and now they're suffering the consequences of that. I'm sorry that your country wants to break away, but that doesn't give you any type of right to start bombing civilians, which is what Russia is claiming. Um, let's just be honest here. The war is dirty on both sides. The
It
war
is.
is bad all around. I'm not necessarily supporting Russia here, but I'm just tired of seeing American money and American interest be spent somewhere where it does us no good. Especially since
One thing,
we're in a,
if,
I
if Ukraine needs weapons, they should contact Afghaniland and go get what Biden left behind there in his first year in office.
well, it's not even that. We're taking their soldiers, training them, all this stuff. It's like, why, why, how does this benefit the American people? This is, I think, a wholly European problem, in my opinion.
Exactly. It doesn't affect us. That's the Turkestan pipeline. And honestly, we would be energy independent if first day in office Biden hadn't have broken the promises that he made about not ending the pipeline when he shut down Keystone. And there's even more to this energy crisis than you guys even understand. It
Oh
is
yeah.
beyond. There's so much going on, like them not being able to open processing plants and things like that to continue bringing the oil to the American people, causing these prices to go up. This isn't Russia's fault. This falls solely and squarely on Joe Biden and his administration. Period.
Yep.
That's where it
Yep.
all falls. And the fact is what's going on over there literally has zero impact on us. We need to stay out of it because we do not want the wrath of Russia on our backs. I
Yeah,
don't want to pull the finger off.
we don't need a World War III. World War II
No,
is
we
more than
don't.
enough.
World War One and Two, and those wars were so close together. But we really don't need to get involved in this. We need to focus on our at-home stuff. I mean, with the number of terrorists Biden and his administration are letting in across the southern border and things like that, we really need to focus on homeland security, not dealing with European politics and policies and things like that. Trump had it
Oh yeah.
right. And then we
We need
talk
a
about the deteriorating relations between the United States and China, the United States and North Korea, the United States and now Saudi Arabia. They're all over on their public television ridiculing and mocking our president. And honestly, I don't blame them. He's a dipshit. He
well,
is a
we do the
complete
same thing anyway.
utter embarrassment. Go ahead.
It is. Well, and to be fair, Western media does the same thing anyway. They'll make fun of whatever so and so. It's just at this point it's just, poking each other's eyes and be like, "Oh, you're a dick."
Well, the tables are turning on Biden and Harris.
Yeah.
Looks like they're going to start dusting off some. And I'm hearing rumors, my ears to the ground, you guys, and I'm telling you, I am hearing that they're about to dust Hillary Clinton off for another run. Third time's the charm. I don't know.
Well, look,
I hate to imagine they're going to have to actually cheat the election to get her in. She's lost twice.
well, at this point, I think both sides are cheating. Just watch this time. There's gonna be 250 million voters.
We have a
It's kind of.
population of 336 million.
Oh, you might be the information source I need on this. So I was reading earlier today. Just glanced over at a headline about a potential Trump DeSantis dispute or
Oh,
later. planning on maybe running against each other, or I don't know.
Well,
What's your thoughts on that?
well, they would run against each other in the primaries. That happens before they even start selecting who they're going to run with.
Mm.
So, yeah, they would be one on one, but I don't think DeSantis has announced his run, but we all know Trump's going to run. There's no doubt about it. He's going to run again and they're going to cheat again and it's going to be what it is. As far as like any dispute between Trump and DeSantis, I don't think there is like an actual dispute amongst them. I do know that they'll run against each other in the primaries and it'll get ugly.
It
I
usually
don't
does.
super ugly between those two, but it'll get ugly with other Republican candidates, primarily the ones that are supported by the Republican National Convention and other corrupt and another corrupt organization. As we've learned in Michigan, with the primary results for the Republican primary results, which isn't until August 2nd, being released
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a few days ago
These
in
people
Kalamazoo.
being selected, not elected, all over the world, they're making a mockery of our democracy. It's not. It's not okay. It's not right. We, as a people, need to do something. We need to start calling them out and pointing fingers and finding the evidence and placing blame where it belongs.
Yeah.
You know,
Our elections are now a democracy. A democracy. They are. They're a democracy.
that's a new word. Trademark it.
Trademarked. Trademark. Don't nobody take it. It's
What I'd like to
mine.
see, I would like to see a presidential candidate running to get rid of the U.S. central bank, otherwise known as the Federal Reserve, which, by the way, isn't federal because they're not a government agency. We can talk about that in another episode, but I would love to see these new candidates actually challenge the establishment and what is going on today, because it's not working for everyone. And
Now,
especially when
uh,
we're sending $69 billion in aid to the Ukraine just to get destroyed by another military that, by the way, this isn't benefiting us in any way, mind you.
yeah. And I just want to kind of, I'm going to take it away from that for just a minute because I want to get this off my mind. Monkeypox.
Oh,
Monkeypox is a derivative of chickenpox, basically found in monkeys, which somehow transmuted to humans, due to human help. However, now monkeys has turned into some sort of sexually transmitted disease.
well, how
How
do they
does
figure
that?
that one out? What the hell?
Well, I'm reading articles from various sources that it's going after, I know a virus that goes after gay males. One man was kissing another man and end up with monkeypox all around his mouth. I actually saw a video on that. Yeah, it was crazy. And it's literally turned into some sort of sexually transmitted disease. Um,
How?
yeah, yeah, and it's crazy, and it is going over to children, which is a little bit concerning when you look at that hypothesis.
Is this
Yeah, I'm
thing
like,
just
what?
mutating, or is it being forcefully mutated?
I don't know if it's actually mutating on its own or if it's because of the mRNA vaccine that most of these people have that are contracting monkeypox.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, and then we talk about sudden adult death syndrome, which I've never
What?
heard of. In my life, I've never heard of any adult just dying for no reason.
They're
I mean, we
sudden
get maybe about 500 a year. The average before
death.
COVID was 500 a year that would die from unknown causes. Now, all of a sudden, when you have a huge population of people who are vaccinated and the people who are dying from sudden adult death syndrome generally are vaccinated. So I don't know. Explain that to me how that could possibly happen. But we won't talk about erectile dysfunction, myocarditis, pericarditis, or whatever however you pronounce those things, and the myriad of clotting and things like that that are happening
Oh
to
my
these
God.
vaccinated people. Not to mention the fact that it's caused
So this is called
spontaneous
SADS.
abortion, which is miscarriage in pregnant women, and that women after the vax now are finding themselves miscarrying at a higher number. I believe that that number increased by 500%. So we look at these things, and are y'all really going to go in and get the booster? Some of
I
you,
wouldn't.
and
Wait,
that's
which
cool. Get
one?
the
Number
booster.
one or numbers 10? Because we're on like a billion
No,
boosters now.
who knows? Because at this point, I'm trying to find natural ways to cure anything that is my ills because I am learning quickly that these drug companies aren't out to make you better. They're out to make you worse so that they can sell you more drugs.
Yep. I mean, hey, that's how they stay in business, right? That's why they
I,
jack up
yeah,
like artificially jack up these prices of medication over here.
it's insane. And they don't want you to use herbal cu- herbal cures.
You know what? We're going to
Anything.
talk about that one, especially in another podcast, because that's going to take a whole episode in itself.
In another podcast too, I was hoping we could get somebody on to talk about flat earth theory because I am curious about it. And I've heard of it and I've tried to find some information. I've Googled and I can't really find a lot. So I'm hoping to get somebody on here in the future to discuss that and other conspiracy theories that probably aren't actually conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And,
We
again, a lot of the things that are happening right now, a couple of years ago, I was saying that vaccine I won't take it. I wouldn't take that vaccine before it even came out. I just knew. And I learned. I learned from a lot of you who are listening don't know that I had a really bad drug reaction to a drug called Lupron Depot that was to help me with one of my problems, which is endometriosis, which is extremely painful. It's actually excruciating. And they said, "Oh, this is the only thing that'll work. This is the only thing that'll help you." And I had those warning bells, and this is where I'm going with this. I had warning bells, and I really didn't want to do it, but both my gynecologist and my family doctor convinced me that this was the only way to take care of this problem. I nearly lost my life. I spent 10 days in the hospital. I spent 2 of those days in ICU. I have had that was supposed to only be in my system for 30 days. It stayed in my system. I ended up with a pulmonologist, a hematologist, and a bunch of other doctors. The hematologist flat out told me a couple things. One, that was going to stay in my system for a year, and while it was in my system, it attacked it made my body attack itself. I attacked my own lungs. I attacked my own liver. My body was under attack by itself for an entire year. So my lungs are jacked up. They told me that if I got COVID, I would die. I got COVID twice and survived. The second time, I'm pretty sure was the flu and not COVID, but I took a COVID test and they said it
I
was
mean,
COVID. So I'm like, whatevs.
hey, you can get shot in Chicago and COVID killed you.
But with that being said, I learned to listen to my own gut instinct. I was driving when the reaction hit me. I could have died crashing my car. Thankfully, I was able to pull over and get somebody to come and get me. I barely made it to the hospital. Let me put it to you like that.
Well, thank God you did.
Um, yeah, I fell out of the van.
There's that's part of the risk that I think they underplay the risk of these medicines and these vaccines is, they want to make them seem as safe as possible. I understand that, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I
how do we know
I
there's a
should.
lot about some of these? Like, dude, I
Yeah,
know fully vaxxed people that still died from COVID, and they were in perfect health.
absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect
Perfect
health,
health.
died from COVID. And they were vaxxed.
Yeah, like how does that work? I'm just curious. So you're trying to convince me, I need a vaccine, I need a booster, I need this, I need that, but like personally, I haven't seen that work, and I've been just fine so far. It's really just people. It's really just about proper hygiene. Wash your
Get
hands. Don't touch your face.
your
Simple things
face.
like that.
Yeah. And so those things that I told you when you were growing up, do you remember?
Oh yeah.
Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Don't touch the walls. Yeah, that was my germ phobia. But at the end of the day, always remember that these drug companies are out to make you sicker so that you have to keep buying their drugs. And when we found that there's a compound in cannabis that actually cures cancer tumors. Not all of them, but a vast majority of the cancer tumors can be cured, but they don't want to legalize it. Why? Because they can't make money on it.
What are you gonna do with a healthy patient?
And when you have healthy patients and you've cured everything, supposedly I've heard multiple times now they've got cures for different types of cancer. But of course they're going to be in testing and they'll test the shit out of that, but they won't test the COVID-19 vaccine before they put it in your body, and now they want to put it in your newborn infants.
Yeah, I was reading something about that they're so starting to suggest that. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah, unfortunately, now I can't travel out of the country because I am unvaccinated. I can't take a cruise because I am unvaccinated. I can't do a lot of things because I am unvaccinated. And I would rather be put down and be unvaccinated and held back because I'm unvaccinated than to be vaccinated and face in 5 years what that would do to me if I even survived the initial
Like
vaccine.
that's what I'm thinking. Like, yeah, I won't go anywhere for a while, but like I just gotta wait, for the for the vaccine to take its course because
Yeah.
I heard some.
Once again, a few years down the road, we're going to find that that vaccine is doing bad juju. And, I was told by my doctors Lupron Depot was safe. Well, I found out later it wasn't safe, and there's tons of lawsuits against the makers of Lupron Depot. They lied to me, and I'm still considering lawsuits because it literally ruined my life. With that being said, don't trust these drug companies. They're in it for the money. The government's paying them for your free shots. Nothing in this world is free.
Medication they charge you for, you end up paying for somehow, some way anyway.
Well, you got
Tax money,
people like,
tax
and I
rates,
know
this shit.
back in the day when I was still working before I retired, my health insurance covered most of the drugs as long as they were generics, but they didn't have a generic for EpiPen. And I have a lot of allergies. I don't not just Lupron Depot. I'm allergic to like bee stings and tomatoes and things like that. Well, I need EpiPens. I had to have them. Um, and at one point, the EpiPens were so expensive, even with my insurance, I literally had to pay full price for them. And I thankfully found a coupon, but there are other people out there who cannot get their hands on EpiPens. Now, because of all my allergic reaction, I'm supposed to have an EpiPen on me at all times. And thankfully the insurance I have now covers those. But prior to that, they weren't covered, and there was no cheap alternative. I was able to get a manufacturer's coupon, and I was able to get them. I think I got two EpiPens for like $20 or $40, which at the end of the day, thank God I was able to get them, and I have to have them. So these are things that you have to have. That's a life-saving drug. That's something that slows your reaction down long enough for you to get to the hospital.
Yeah, it's life saving. Why does it cost a kidney? Come on, people.
Exactly.
Let's look, if the best capital we have is our human resource, then we need to be taking care of our human resource. We can't let predatory corporations take advantage of flaws in our system. We can't
Our
let them use it against us.
our government wants to take money away from veteran health care and give it to illegal aliens.
That's fucked up.
These people fought for our country. A lot of them served in Afghanistan, in the Middle East, in Iraq. They've served in the Gulf Wars from the 90s and have major health issues from the chemicals the government spews on them. And they have the right to their health care. And they're given piss poor health care as it is. But to take money out of that fund to give it to illegal people have illegally come in there, are lawbreakers. These people are criminals. I don't care what you say. They could have been a good person back in Guatemala, but here they are criminals because they did not go across that border the way that they were supposed to. And it's a slap in the face to every person who's emigrated to this country legally. It's a complete slap in the face. And to take money away from our veterans, to give it to these people is an atrocity.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable the way that this country's gone. But, we look at the negative growth on the GDP. No recession to see here. It's ridiculous. First, and if they don't pull it together soon, we're going to end. Sorry, guys, allergies. If they don't end this recession soon and turn it around, we're going to end up in a depression.
Yeah.
And if that happens, what happened, back in the early 1900s, you know, it's going to be like that. People were freaking making cakes out of like salt and flour. They depression. Look up on YouTube. Go and look for depression recipes. They were making things the best they could without things. And we're looking at, food shortages, and that's not just local to the United States or a national thing. This is a global thing. This isn't just the United States, you guys. This is India is not exporting their stuff right now. They're keeping it because of the upcoming shortages. Y'all need to stock up on them canned goods. Get those canned goods in your pantries, in your basement, wherever you can put them. Put them in the trunk of your car. I don't even care. I don't know if they'd explode in the trunk of your car if you living in a hot place, but the fact is that like Sri Lanka is rising up against our government right now. You're not going to see that on the main news, but you can find it on Google. They're rising up against our government. Sri Lankans, they've had enough. They've had enough corruption there. And I know farmers over in one of the Nordic countries, and it's either Sweden, Denmark, or Norway. The farmers are rising up because they can't get what they need to grow the food. That's a little scary. Hello, they're actually putting your farmers down. And then we talk about the farmers in the United States that are being like the small farmers. Buy local, you guys. Buy from your local farmers. Buy from your local farms.
Yep.
You might pay a little bit more, but at this point, first off, it was grown locally. Most likely it's organic. It'll be better for you than this pasteurized processed meat food and things like that that they're putting out right now full of chemicals to make it last on the shelf for 2 weeks. You're gonna have to look at these things, but definitely start stocking food. Be a hoarder. Don't be ashamed to hoard up some food. I wouldn't worry about toilet paper and paper products. I'm not hearing about any shortages on that,
Nope.
so please don't run out and wipe out Walmart.
Hopefully, we're
But
not going to run out of anything. But the important
we're
thing is
looking at
let's stop giving money to hopeless causes and
well,
hit Ukraine.
there's empty shelves in the United States right now where there are shortages, where you have massive amounts of people, they can't get enough stuff in. I'm not seeing it yet up where I'm at, but I know the bigger cities are starting to see emptier shelves. I know up here for a minute there at the Walmart, I couldn't find any pasta for the life of me. The meat shelves were empty there for a little bit. Thankfully, I am a prepper, so I had everything I needed. I was able to get through all of that, but some people don't. They just buy what they need as they need it. The thing is, you're going to have to look forward and at least get 2 weeks worth of food in your house just in case. Because they still haven't, although they don't talk about it on the news, they still haven't resolved the supply chain issue. There's still ships sitting outside those ports waiting to be unloaded. I'm like, how long are we going to wait?
Yeah, don't forget on top of the food, make sure you got water or ways to purify water and medical supplies. Don't be caught underprepared.
Yeah, and this whole thing with transferring us from gas-powered vehicles to electric vehicles. Well, we need to change the way we get our power before we try to force Americans who can't afford 50, 60, 70, $80,000 vehicles to go electric or have no vehicle. Um we really need to, if we're going to do that, we need water power, what is that? Water mill power or whatever, where the water goes and makes power, windmills and things like that. But those are bad for the environment too. It kills birds. I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at these situations and you're seeing, well, we're going to do this, but this actually causes harm to the environment too. Anything that we humans do on this planet is going to have an adverse effect on our environment. That is just the way it is.
That's why we need to be
It's
smart about it.
Yeah, we need to be a little bit smarter. Keep planting trees. Try to keep the earth as green as we can because we do know we need all them trees. So if we take a tree, we need to plant a tree. We need to keep doing that. We need to leave the Amazon alone. The Amazon's one of the biggest cleaners for our atmosphere that we have. And,
Yeah, we
if we,
also need to stop dumping plastics in the ocean too, because it's going to pollute our
oh my
waterways.
God, please. Right? Just because you don't want it anymore doesn't mean you got to throw it on the ground. You guys throw it away properly so at least goes to a landfill. If you're not going to recycle, at least just dispose of your trash properly.
Yeah, just do something. Don't just.
It's
There's
horrible to see sea turtles who were babies when they came across like a 6-pack plastic holder with the
Mm.
rings. Yeah, and to see them and they've grown around that ring and they have that one ring and it's still stuck there. And they have to get these off these animals. And come on, how many animals died from eating those plastics? And these resources are not unlimited. We act like they are. Like, okay, well, we'll have windmill power. So what about the birds? Well, those birds do things. They do things in our environment. They eat bugs, or if some of them are predatory, so they might eat other animals like mice and rats. So then we have an uptick in rats. So what's going to happen then? Bubonic plague. Come on, you guys. For every action, there is a reaction. We all learned that in high school. For every action, there is an reaction. It might be multiple reactions. It could be a chain reaction. It could be any type. It could be an adverse reaction or a positive reaction. It depends on what the activity is that you're doing. And the fact is if you're going to do something that adversely impacts the earth, then you need to do something else that would positively impact the earth.
Just do it cleanly, keep the earth clean, keep it good for future generations, keep it livable. It's not hard. We just need to, get out of, and a lot of things in culture I feel like are just disposable now.
Yeah,
You know,
just be a good human.
just, yeah, I don't like the disposable culture.
Be a good human and respect the earth as your home.
Yeah. You only have
This is
one earth.
I mean, when it's gone, it's gone. I mean, like, then where's our, I don't see the earth disappearing anytime in your lifetime or your children's lifetime or my great grandchildren or my great great grandchildren. But eventually, these negative impacts are going to build up to the point of no return. And those things do have an impact.
It's already been, what, a little over 100 years since the Industrial Revolution and dumping mass amounts of just
Yeah.
toxic stuff in our environment. It's not good. Think
Well,
about that, people.
even in the Middle Ages, the River Thames in England, London, runs through London, was so polluted even back in the medieval period because they were obviously dumping waste into the streets and poisoning their water. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that
well,
wasn't the
yeah,
smartest move.
I
Hold on.
think wasn't that the excrement of humans the cause of cholera in the United States? They'd have cholera outbreaks, and they did find that it was caused by the bacterias getting into the groundwater. That and decomposing corpses. So it's not a good thing. Animals, humans, just, you don't want to drink out of a well with a dead person floating around in there. It's
No,
not a good thing. That would poison your water. So we do need to look at poison water. And then when we're looking at poison water, then we look at places like Flint and other. They're not Flint's not the only one with the problems with their pipes and their water getting poisoned water. That's not just Flint. That's across the nation. Flint just got the attention for it. They didn't talk about the other 20 or 30 cities that are also dealing with the same thing. It didn't get the national attention. Yeah. Some crazy times we're living in. How are we on time?
oh, we're at 33 minutes.
All right, you guys.
All
And
right, everyone. Oh,
go ahead.
everyone, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification. We're going to be putting out more content. I dropped a link to our Discord server. Feel free to join if you like freedom of speech and want to have it like open discourse with people. We're looking for more people to join that. Besides that, Kelly, if you want to just wrap it up.
I'll wrap it up like a burrito.
Word.
Thank you for joining us today for Everyday Talks with Kelly and my son Ewok, otherwise known as Jordan. He is producing the show now, and I hope you like our rebranding. And we will be bringing you shorter and more frequent content. And I look forward to the next episode. Like, share, subscribe, share me with your friends. I got lots of things to talk about, and I never shut up. My nickname was Motor Mouth when I was growing up, mainly because I had braces and I never stopped talking. And I haven't stopped since. So I'm looking forward to talking some more, and we'll be bringing in, like I said, some guests I'm hoping to get a flat earther to come on and talk about flat earth theory. I'm always open to listening to what somebody else has to say. I'm going to bring on some people with some conspiracy theories, and we're going to talk about those and kind of hash it out. And
Oh yeah.
so we've got some really good things I'm working on trying to make happen. So keep your fingers crossed and pray with me. And thanks for joining.